I have a dream. It's one of the most famous lines ever spoken. So famous that when someone begins with those three words, everyone knows what follows. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. We recognize that cadence now as the opening of Martin Luther King Jr.'s most famous speech, the one he delivered from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on August 28, 1963, during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. It was a day of high tension. A crowd of about 250,000 people had gathered to protest racial segregation in the United States. Many people were angry and frustrated that, despite years of protest, African Americans still faced discrimination and violence in many parts of the country. As the crowd waited for the speeches to begin, there was an undercurrent of anxiety and uncertainty about whether the leaders could deliver on their promises of change. But then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stepped up to the podium and began to speak. When he said, "I have a dream," it was like a bolt of lightning splitting the sky. In that one sentence, he articulated a vision of equality and justice that resonated with the crowd and the nation. As he spoke, the crowd swayed with him, laughing and crying as he wove his powerful message. And at the end, when he shouted, "Free at last, thank God Almighty, free at last. Thank God Almighty, free at last," the crowd erupted in cheers. This was no ordinary speech. It was a masterpiece of rhetoric, a testament to the power of the human spirit, and a call to action for a nation to live up to its ideals. But who was Martin Luther King Jr.? Where did he get the confidence to stand up and speak so powerfully? Well, before we hear the speech, let's take a look at the man behind the words. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, where he grew up in a segregated society where African Americans were denied basic rights and were subjected to violence and intimidation. From an early age, he was aware of the injustice of this situation, and he began to speak out against it. He studied at Morehouse College in Atlanta, where he earned a bachelor's degree in sociology. He then went on to study theology at Crozar Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, where he earned a Master of Divinity degree. During his studies, he developed his philosophy of nonviolent resistance, which was influenced by his Christian faith and the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. In 1955, King became the pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama. It was here that he rose to national prominence, when he led the Montgomery Bus Boycott in response to the arrest of Rosa Parks. The boycott lasted for more than a year and resulted in a Supreme Court decision that declared racial segregation on public buses unconstitutional. This victory brought King national attention, and he became one of the leading figures in the civil rights movement. As the movement grew, so did the threats and violence against King. He was arrested numerous times and his house was bombed, but he remained steadfast in his commitment to justice and equality. In 1963, he helped to organize the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, one of the largest political demonstrations in the history of the United States. It was during this march that he delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech, which is considered to be one of the greatest speeches of the 20th century. The impact of his speech was immediate. It galvanized the civil rights movement and helped to bring about major legislative changes. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed, which outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, or national origin. King continued to work for civil rights until his assassination in 1968. But his legacy of courage, his determination, and nonviolent resistance continues to inspire people around the world. Let's now go back to August 28, 1963, and hear his speech. Let's see how he uses structure, tone, and metaphors to achieve his purpose. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom, justice, and peace that this world has ever seen. There are some key structural elements at play here. First, he establishes the significance of the day by stating that the event will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom, justice, and peace the world has ever seen. By doing so, he creates a sense of occasion, highlighting the magnitude of the gathering and its potential impact on the world. Second, he introduces the theme of the speech, which is the struggle for civil rights and equality for African Americans. He refers to the demonstration as one for freedom, suggesting that African Americans are fighting for the basic right to live in a society that values their dignity and worth. Finally, he uses inclusive language, referring to himself as, "I am happy to join with you," which helps to establish a sense of unity and shared purpose among the crowd. This inclusive language invites everyone to participate in the struggle for civil rights and emphasizes that this is not just a fight for African Americans, but a fight for all people who value freedom, justice, and peace. Now we come to the opening line of the speech, one that has become one of the most famous in history. "I have a dream." Simplicity of these words is striking, and their impact profound. By starting the speech with "I have a dream," King immediately captures the audience's attention and sets the tone for the rest of the speech. The phrase, "I have a dream," is a metaphor for hope, a hope for a better future where racial equality and justice prevail. It's also a metaphor for a goal that King and the civil rights movement were striving to achieve. By stating "I have a dream," King conveys a sense of agency, a belief that through their actions and sacrifices, they can make their dreams a reality. The repetition of "I have a dream" throughout the speech serves to reinforce this message and to leave a lasting impression on the audience. It's a simple yet powerful rhetorical device that helps to convey the central message of the speech and to inspire hope for a better future. "My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Here, King uses the metaphor of his children to represent the future of the civil rights movement. By talking about his children, he creates a personal connection with the audience, making the issue of racial equality more relatable and emotionally resonant. The phrase "color of their skin" represents the superficial and arbitrary nature of racial classifications. King argues that people should be judged by their character, not by their race. This challenges the prevailing societal norms and prejudices of the time, which often led to discrimination and violence against African Americans. King's use of metaphor and his ability to connect with the audience on a personal level is evident in this passage. By imagining a future where his children are judged by their character rather than their skin color, he inspires hope for a better and more equitable future for all. With this speech, King didn't just want to persuade his audience, he wanted to inspire them, to give them hope for a better future. He uses metaphors that everyone could understand, like talking about his children and the color of their skin. He doesn't just say, "I have a dream." He repeats it so that we remember that this is what he wants for the future, a dream of hope and equality. The speech ends with the crowd shouting "Free at last." This call and response technique effectively engages the audience, inviting them to participate in the speech and to become active participants in the struggle for civil rights. The repetition of "Free at last" emphasizes the urgency and importance of the call for freedom and equality. Overall, the speech is a masterful example of the power of rhetoric. King's use of repetition, metaphor, and inclusive language helps to establish his message and to inspire his audience to take action. His dream of a nation where people are judged by the content of their character and not the color of their skin continues to resonate today. In the aftermath of the speech, the civil rights movement gained momentum and the United States began to take steps towards racial equality. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, or national origin, was a direct result of the hard work and sacrifice of the civil rights movement, of which Martin Luther King, Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech was an integral part. And so today we ask you, which line from MLK's dream still feels unfulfilled today? You can write your answer in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share. Thank you for watching this episode of Chronicles Across Continents and Echoes Through Time. If you love learning about history, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos. See you next time.